Being 21 with a toddler, trying to get a farmer through some depression was the hardest part of my experience with mental health. I'm Emma Oliver, I'm 34 and I'm from Slade on the Gower Peninsula. I'm a farmer's wife with 4 children and we farm beef, lamb and arable for our own feed and bedding. My first experience of dealing with mental health problems was when my husband became depressed. In the first few years of our marriage, we had a young child. The farming wasn't doing so well and you'd find him in the chair with his head in his hands and he'd just sit there and you couldn't talk to him, he couldn't look at us. There was just nothing there. He couldn't go out on the farm during the day and he'd farm during the night. He'd come in and you'd think, oh, we're going to have a better day tomorrow. But then he'd wake up and it would just start all over again. After that, we talked to a friend of his who said to him that how she thought he might be bipolar, which is why I find talking to people quite important, because then we went to the doctor and said, this is, can you look a little more into it and about the medications he could have. He was then put on lithium for his depression and after, I think it was 5 or 6 weeks, he started to lift up and feel better. Without realising, I think I was so focused on caring for him, I started to kind of spiral down. I was so focused on him, trying to get him better, I wasn't looking after myself. And then that's when I got hit with anxiety, which I didn't know at the time. After going to the doctors, quite a few times with this dizziness and feeling faint, I actually had an episode in the doctors. And I was sat there, and by this time I had my second child, Jack, and he was in his newborn seat. And I sat in the waiting room and all of a sudden I thought, I'm just going to faint. And the receptionist could see and she goes, put your head down, we'll look after the baby. And the doctor took me straight in. I couldn't even carry the seat that the baby was in. And they wired me up and he was like, your heart is as if you've just run up a hill like that. And he said, you're having an anxiety attack. And I was like, shut up. I was like, no. I was like, that is a cop-out. That's the kind of person I was. If someone said, I can't do that today, I'm having a panic attack, it's perception. I was very much like, no, they're not real. He said, no, you're having a panic attack. And he said, how often does this happen? I said, I spend a lot of my day like this, and night really. And he said to me, you're not just having a panic attack, you've got an anxiety disorder, which is basically when you have between 5 and 10 panic attacks a day. And he said, this is where we need to now look into medication. So we tried a few, they didn't suit me. And then they found one that worked, and I've been on it now nearing 9 years, and I just don't look back. It was the best thing they ever did for me. And it made me realise you don't have to be ashamed to ask for medication or just, going in for the help. But then I started to feel better, and then that's when me and Andrew started to help each other along and manage what's happening. You'll never get rid of it, but you manage it together. And I think that's where it's helped us be stronger, being together and going through the same things, even though we went through the same things at different times. I think you just have to be mindful that you can't leave it all on the one person. You've got to, if you're going to work as a team, and just make sure you're understanding each other. If we've stumbled across something that's not made you feel so good, I mean, as farmers, we lose stock, and I know it will hurt me. When you've tried your best, it will hurt him, but we don't keep those things in, and we don't let it drag us down for the next day. I find the ways that I manage my mental health is to go out on the farm, work with the animals, with my husband, because he's been in the same position, and we help each other along the way. I know winter on the farm can be a sad place sometimes, but we're doing it together. And I just think that it's the fresh air, doing a job that's rewarding and that I enjoy is the main thing that keeps my mental health healthy. If anybody who's watching now has been through the same thing, or is living alongside somebody who's gone through the same thing, the one thing I've always said is talk to someone. It's difficult to talk about it, but everybody's got a network. You've got, if it's not your GP, we've got like the DPJ Foundation, we've got mother, father, aunties, uncles, sisters, there's always, nobody has no network. There's somebody that's going to help you, and just reach out. And if you've got somebody, like I say, living alongside you with the same thing, you reach out. Tomorrow's a new day, and then start again.